Hey, what's up, Cuphead? 1 second. Let me adjust the focus. Focus. Better. Hey, what's up? All right. Where was I? So we got about 90 minutes here, so might as well get to work. Mm. 'Alright, let me turn that off. That's why I had it turned off. One second, it screwed up my white balancing. Sometimes it resets my settings. Despite three, two. Trying to get it to look pretty close to what I'm seeing here. Just give me a second. There we go. Yeah, I have a store called shopsketchcraft.com. I've sold stuff in there, posters, and when I have them, people generally don't buy anything above $12, man. That's how it works. I did. Based off a template on the site, and I recolored it and redid the logo and everything to match Sketchcraft. Bought some music to go with it, so thought it all matched up. Probably did the whole thing for about, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks. What characters would you like to play a game? What characters would I like to play a game? Well, I'm looking forward to Psychonauts too. Does that say something? And I would love another Earthworm Jim. How about that? Or Banjo-Kazooie. Any of those. I mean, they're definitely making Psychonauts too, so I'm getting that. But Banjo-Kazooie or Earthworm Jim. Is it still doing that? Yeah, it's still doing that. I don't know why it's doing the backlight. There may be nothing I can do about that. I would like green arrow. Yeah, there was a movie script that David Goyer put together a long time ago for Green Arrow around the early 2000s called Supermax, where Green Arrow was sentenced to a prison for supervillains. That'd make for a great... I mean, people would say, oh, it's like Arkham Asylum. I'm like, what? Yeah, sort of. Only he was like a regular dude, right? But I mean, if superhero-wise, uh, I guess the Flash is a lot of fun. Like Impulse with Max. That'd be a lot of fun. Running really fast is always cool. It's my favorite thing to do in City Heroes back in the day. I'd also like an open world Futurama game, but never getting that. The first 2 seasons are not perfect but fun, and then, you know, stop watching it around season 4. It was always hit or miss. There were some parts about it I really liked and parts about it that were just very CW. But, I don't know about Rockstar. You know, they're not the only ones who could pull that off. But let's say Open World by Insomniac. How about that? They could push into that territory, you know. I mean, you got to get someone who can get the dynamic right. That sort of cartoon humor. The closest they ever got to it was Simpsons Hit and Run, which was a lot of fun. That was what, Fox Interactive. They're gone now, but that was awesome. Do we have any ideas for a new Sonic game? I know where I would start if it were up to me. Someone made a tech demo about a year or two ago, and it was procedurally generated Sonic levels that look like the first level from Sonic 1, Emerald, whatever it's called. And it was 3D, so you can run through it, you know, and it was building it on the fly. And so I would think something like that for a hub world that's procedurally generated, and then you'd have different zones within that world that could be handcrafted. Or sections of the zones that are handcrafted. How about that? So you can get these like open world areas, but then you can also get some cool scripted Sonic content. And it wasn't perfect, but you could really get the sense of running around in a retro looking Sonic level, but in 3D. And it never felt like you were playing the same thing twice. The camera wasn't perfect, but if I were to start, I would start there. You gotta start with gameplay first. You don't go with stories and stuff like that. You know, and so they would definitely need to sit down. I think the guys from Sonic Mania came with a lot of clever gameplay tricks too, you know, for the bosses and stuff. And I'd really sit down with the gameplay and say, you know, what can be done that, you know, maintains the spirit of the original Sonics with some of the, you know, fun of Sonic Adventure. And then I would just also spend money on the Sonic Mania team doing whatever the hell they want. Period. And if they didn't, if they were done, then I would go and get those guys that did Wonder Boy, and I'd have them do a Sonic game because the art style in there was dope. Or even Monster Boy, FTG. But a hand-drawn 2D Sonic game would be awesome. Probably look just like Sonic, that Sonic cartoon that's out, right? But, yeah. So, I can't give you a definitive this and that, but I know where I would start. It's not even pre-production. It's, you know, where you go to pitch. We got to start building a pitch, and that's where I would look at. And if I couldn't get funding for any of those things, I always have a backup plan. And the backup plan is Sonic Monster Tracks. Telling you, Sonic with monster tracks. I'd have giant monster truck Sonic races, and then monster truck rallies, and these giant Sonic stadiums. You know, I take it all back. If I could pitch one Sonic, it'd probably be Sonic Monster Trucks, just because it's so different. It's the game I'd want to play the most. Real fast monster trucks. That's why I would forego a story. With Sonic Monster Trucks, you don't need a story. And just make it fun. It'd be fun too if you can get knocked out the truck and then you have to outrun the other trucks until you can get back in your truck. Or if you get out knocked out your truck, you got, you can still get squashed. I wouldn't make Sonic games so serious. I think it's a mistake. They should be fun to play and he should have attitude. Period. Well, you gotta build an engine. It all comes down to the tech they gotta build, how much budget they got, time. Most people just leave it on when they draw. Yep, that's how it usually goes. It's like every now and then I get a guy who goes, "Hey man, your streams are 3 hours. No one got time to watch that." I'm like, it's not meant to be on so you sit there and stare. It's, if you're making stuff, you can leave things on while you're working and see things getting done. Like, I think it helps. I know it would have helped me when I was younger. If I could turn on a stream and just have an artist I like sit there making things, while I was trying to make stuff. I don't miss working for that Cartoon Network, man. I did the t-shirts for that show. Cartoon Network was the worst. Marvel stuff wasn't bad up until the last few years when they, it just became a constant fight. They just wanted you to use their style guides, and then so everyone has the same art, and then the shirts weren't selling. And then you'd submit original ideas, and they'd turn them down, but then your original ideas would end up the style or whatever you did for that idea would end up in the next style guide, like cloned to fit whatever characters are in that style guide, and then all your competitors would basically be getting your ideas. So the Marvel thing is different. The Cartoon Network thing is just, I just don't think they understood the cartoon. I can kind of prove it because I went and posted some rejected ideas on my DeviantArt back in 2008, 7 or 8 or whatever. And the wife of the creator of the show saw them on DeviantArt. She's like, these are great. My husband created the show. How come they haven't been approved? And I'm like, talk to fucking these people in licensing. And then I got a phone call. Dragged into a room and got yelled at to not tell the creators of the show to harass licensing departments. Yeah, it just got the feeling that, the thing was when I spoke to these people from the licensing, they came down from LA, and I used to talk about LA animation, and now people are understanding. It's a lot of CalArts students, they sort of dictate the flow of the animation that comes out of Hollywood. Well, it's the same with licensing and graphic design. It's a lot of the same people in LA who sort of come up with these fucking rules to what does and doesn't work with graphic design, and then they go on the internet now, and since then they've made these people have made blogs, done interviews, and so all the rules you see being posted, like 16 things you should know. The art director of this over here. So it's a lot of this groupthink mentality that actually has very little impact on real world sales. So I don't care about rules of graphic. I know all the stupid fucking rules, man. I've taken the classes, between high school and college. 4 plus. I mean, I've spent almost 10 years in art classes. Like I know it. But these people would come down and they'd make these licensing books or style guide books. They would have all the images in there, and they would decorate them, and they'd win awards. They would win awards for the style guide books, and they'd spend all their time talking about how they won awards for these books. And I'm like, let's talk about the freaking cartoon. No one cares about your style guide. There was a blue and a blue and cheese. It's two. Not those are just two out of like 30, bro. You know. They were like, no skulls should be associated with this show. And I'm like, first off, it's your style guide. The skulls came from your style guide. Second of all, they just didn't want the characters of blue being perceived as mischievous. And I'm like, then you're missing the point of the show. You know? 100%. Like, as Joe Rogan was, 100%. I don't think you guys, are we watching the same show? You know, it's like, just sit there and go, what's going on here? They are always like, they always want vague references to, you know, cheese's love of milk or something. Make a milk reference. I'm like, guys, like, you know, like, it doesn't work this way. People are not buying the shirts to get reference, like, never mind. They watch it, they just don't care. They sit in a room and they each have an opinion about how they think people should spend their money, or how they should spend their money, or why they, you know, we want them to spend it on this. And it's like, well, that's, how do I say this, man? Like, you don't want to go beyond the boundaries of a character, right? And change the tone, you know? But do you really think Charlie Brown, like, for the longest time I worked on the Peanuts license and they wouldn't let us do shit. And I mean, I could have a lot of strict rules. And eventually, the company that was doing all that stuff went out of business and then got bought out by another company that I went back to work for. So I go back to this company for years later, and they bought up a company that I worked at previously, and all my Peanuts art was on the server. But by that time, they were like, well, you know, this stuff was hokey. And I'm like, yeah, but that's all we were allowed to do. At this point, they were doing shirts like Every Day I'm Shuffling and Charlie Brown with the Ghetto Blaster. I'm like, they would never let us do that. We couldn't even use fonts from this era. Like, we had to be very, they wouldn't let you do anything, you know. So it's like, you gotta like, and I sort of feel like Disney's, you know, definitely sort of headed toward that area where they're like, oh, you know, you can't put, you know, any kind of like lifting jokes with the Hulk. It has to be about I'm always angry, or I'm not. Can't even put I'm always angry because they're like that's just negative. We need positive stuff, and I'm like, fuck, guys, you know, like making shirts is not for real. Like making shirts for mass retail ain't the same as making T-shirts for any of these T-shirt sites you guys go and buy shirts from, which is why they've lost so much market share. By the way, it's why bootleg shirts have overtaken retail sales because they're fucking boring. You know? Period. Like it's and so you're spending all your time trying to be creative within a box that where the rules of that box are continually changing. Like you never know. One day it's okay to do something, the next day everything you did's not okay and everything has to go back and be changed. Like 6 months worth of effort have to go back and be completely redone. You know, or maybe it was 2 years later, all those ideas, and then all the shirts you shipped with those ideas have to be recalled, and you have to eat the cost. And hey, no bonuses this Christmas, you know, for nothing that you did wrong, just because a a licensor changed their opinion on what they wanted to be, doing. It's just not as it's not as easy as what people when they go, oh, just it'd be great if we could do this, do that. It's like that is not how it works, you know. Nobody really focuses. Armando, I know you talk a lot, dude. And I know you mean well, but there's a group of t-shirt artists out there, man. You know, that make a very good living doing it, and that's all they focus on. So, I'd be wary about making statements you kind of don't really know what you're talking about, you know? And I work with these people daily, you know? You just gotta be careful about it. Sometimes I don't take it the wrong way, but let me tell you, dude, people see that and they think, they don't know you're just a dude, and they don't hear it like you're in the room kind of talking amongst friends. They hear it like you're being a snarky know-it-all, you know? I'm just telling you how it comes across. But what I'm trying to tell you is that those sites like T Fury, they you can't do that in the real world. The real world, the mass market retail world. Let's put it that way. And it's a real pain, because the numbers that they have to do in mass retail are like they got to sell 30,000, 40,000 shirts, and on sites like T Fury and those things, they just sell, at the most a couple thousand, usually a few hundred, And I know because I've seen the numbers. Like they bring these sales sheets in, and it's like I have a personal rule. I don't copy anything from music, right? So like run WTF, right? Like run DMC knockoff shirts and stuff, I don't do anything like that. I never even pitched the idea. I don't do anything like music because the music companies go after everybody. Anyhow, they didn't learn any of their lessons with the. Remember, what was that Alan Thicke? Alan Thicke. What was that song? Remember that song? What was that song? 3 or 4 years ago. Alan Thicke's kid, and what was it? They got sued by the Marvin Gaye family. Anyhow, like a lot of companies at the time were, doing Robin Thicke. Thank you. Yeah, that song. You know the song I'm talking about. So, a lot of people were quoting that song on shirts in some way, shape, or form. And I was trying to explain to some of the newer kids, hey, you really want to be careful about doing it because it's not good. You know, blurred lines. Same with like Honey Badger and shit like that. It's not music, but and yeah, sure enough. But it was funny. So this past winter, I had some friends hit me up to do some side T-shirt stuff, and these are pros, dude. These are guys I work with for like almost 20 years. And I was looking at their boards, and they had a bunch of this Run DMC, like generic T-shirt kind of stuff. When I say generic, I mean like it's like generic humor. Instead of like Run DMC, it's like roll. I don't know. I don't have a run something. Now everyone's being sued by Run DMC, and they're like, "No, man, it's all good." I'm like, guys, it's never all good. Like it's always this quiet. They wait. The last time was remember, remember, Baby in a Corner, the Dirty Dancing slogan. No one puts baby in a corner. Like everyone was doing that line in generic T-shirts for a while. For I don't know why. And you don't see it anymore because eventually Warner's one of those companies sued the shit out of everyone on the internet, especially 80stees.com. The thing about screen printing now, man, is that at mass market, it's largely direct to garment. Very little of it's screen printed unless it's being done like down in Mexico or Afghan. A lot of the shirts these days are being straight up direct to garment printed. I don't know who Jake the dog is. So something I warned them about back in 2011. I'm like, direct to garment's going to kill this industry. No, you can't do them in numbers. I'm like, that's going to change. That sounds like a technological problem. If you ever want to know how to trend future things, when someone tells you something can't be done because it's too expensive, then just understand that's a technological issue. Like that's just an efficiency issue, and with time, all that shit gets fucking solved. Adventure Time. Oh, I like the guy that created it. What's his name? It's not Patton Oswalt. It's Patton Wald. I can't remember. But he's friends with Double Fine, so they had him for a couple years doing the Double Fine. What do they call that? Amnesia Fortnite, where they make a game in a week, a game demo in a couple weeks. They did this. Pendleton Ward, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and they did one called Little Pink Best Buds. That's fucking hilarious. Like, I wish they had taken that to a full game. They didn't have anywhere near the amount of time to make the demo, you know, not broke, but funny guy. Yeah, I'm horrible with names. I'm not good with it. That's why I stopped using a name and came up with Sketchcraft. CalArt style. You know, it's not just this. First off, that isn't a CalArt style. Like that's the fucking internet not understanding that 99% of all the cartoons on TV come out of Hollywood. They're designed there. They are animated like in South Korea, but all the storyboards and designs come out of LA. So same with The Simpsons. You could say Matt Groening's an LA style. You know, CalArt style is fucking Disney. You know, who came out of CalArts? Glenn Keane came out of CalArts. You know, Milt Kahl and the Nine Old Men helped found the fucking CalArts through Disney. It's Disney style. Disney, I mean, it's LA, you know, Burbank, whatever you want to call it. It's a Burbank style, whatever. So, unfortunately, it's the fucking internet, you know, likes to get all mad because they're like, hey, you're messing with my favorite thing. But the original Thundercats cartoon was designed in LA. That is also LA style. Well, it's not being produced now. And my rebuttal to that would be because, how do I put this? Because kids like stupid shit right now. You understand that? They don't want the 40-year-old dude with this fucking cartoon, man. They're not looking for the 40-year-old guy. They're looking for the 8-year-olds and the 9-year-olds. And kids don't like serious shit. Their moms don't want them buying serious shit. They want them to have Nerf guns and Splatoon fights. And, you know, like, look at all these gangs now that are buying paintballs and pillows to have pillow fights. People like stupid shit. So my point, the first time I encountered this was like, for me, was like Muppet Babies. I was like, well, this ain't my fucking Muppets, you know? But you know, it has its own charm, you know, and I guess they had the cameo Muppets Take Manhattan, so there's that, you know. Star Wars came out of LA. You could call that LA style. I mean, I don't. This is these kids, man. So I used to say this thing, you know, LA style of animation about, you know, far back. It was a phrase I picked up from my art teacher who's from LA, worked on The Little Mermaid and King of the Hill, a bunch of cartoons, you know. And he was like, well, you know, it means like Cal Arts because he went to Cal Arts. And I was like, all right. So unfortunately, it's just inspired a group of fucking assholes on the internet to then go threaten and harass Cal Art students. You better not fuck up my cartoons. I'll fuck you up. I'm like, oh, fuck off, dicks. Yeah, Teen Titans goes. So look. In a perfect world, they could have launched, you know, this version of Thundercats next to a more serious one, like on a Netflix or something, like Castlevania, right? Is serious. I would say to this, is it well animated? Because you know how many fucking cartoons try to be, you know, look at the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. It was trying to be serious, but it was fucking ugly to watch. At least the animation seems to be pretty well animated. So you can tell the artists working on the project are into it because they're putting the effort forward on the animation, you know? When it starts to look like chintzy flash graphics and no money's being put into it, then you know it's a cash grab. Yeah. Probably the best reinterpretation of an 80s property that's been successful has been the Voltron. But that's also because it's been on streaming networks, right? So, you know, where daily ratings don't fucking matter, you know? But we're talking about ratings, man, and ratings are not based around getting 10,000 people like T Fury. It's about getting like 100,000 people or a million people. So, you know, you got to take these ratings out of it. You go, well, ratings mean that it's good, right? No. Some of the best things of all time were never appreciated by the mass audiences when they came out. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but look at this channel. This channel will do quite well once I'm dead. Like, you know, someday I'll be gone, and that's when they'll find all this fucking nonsense, you know? In the meantime, you know, thank you for thank you for getting it. You are not put on this world to get it. Like a Big Trouble in Little China was not appreciated when it came out. Yeah, it found its audience on paid cable, which, you know, HBO, Netflix and them just the modern versions of HBO, right? HBO didn't care about the individual ratings, it cared about subscriber numbers. So that's why you got better content, you know? But no one can tell me whether this new Thundercats cartoon is going to be good or bad, because no one's seen a single episode. A single episode comes out, it's not good. It's really fucking bad jokes, and then there you go. But Teen Titans Go proved that you can do humor, and it can be fun, and it won't ruin anything. Look, it's not my cup of tea, but Brave and the Bold, a lot of people like that cartoon. Doesn't mean they're never going to make another serious Batman cartoon ever again. I watched the first season, haven't seen the second yet. It's been too busy. I will, though. What time are we at? I got 20 more minutes. I don't care if people like something or don't like it, Armando. I've never, when I was a kid, nobody liked anything I liked. Except like 2 of my friends. That's it. None of my friends liked any of the shit I liked, Or friends, kids I went to school with. That's why that's how I made friends. I made friends with people I have no, like, my best friend was someone who was nothing like me. Nothing like me. We don't talk much these days. But we were best friends because we liked a lot of the same shit. And that's how we bonded. If I went on popular shit when I was a kid, I've only been talking about Cheers and Michael Jordan basketball. Like, that just wasn't my fucking thing. I couldn't get anyone to sit around and go, hey, let's go watch Vampire Hunter D or Robot Carnival. That wasn't happening. Yeah. Well, let's go play Maniac Mansion. My friends were, kids at school were like, oh no, man, it's fucking Double Dragon. I'm like, alright, look, it's fine, but, River City Ransom's better. To be fair, that came out like 2 years later, but I could not skate, so I didn't skate. I liked kickboxing. None one at my school wanted to talk about kickboxing. And as John Cusack once said, sport of the future. He wasn't entirely wrong. MMA, right? Yeah, I'm almost done with Darling, and I'll start Megalo after that. I can only watch one anime at a time because my wife can't watch multiple animes. Don't ask me why. I could only get one friend of mine to go with me to go see The Crow when it came out. You know that? Everyone I knew wanted to go see Flintstones. The fucking Flintstones. They're like, well, you're an artist, you like Flintstones. I'm like, I do not. Oh, what do you mean? It's cartoons. I'm like, I don't watch the fucking Flintstones. Watch Ninja Scroll. Project A-ko, that's some goofy shit, but Flintstones. If I could only watch one anime from start to finish, dude, it would be Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's 64 episodes. It's got the best ending. Leaves off with me being able to imagine what could happen next. based on that, I don't know why they haven't done like an Akira series yet that adapts the manga perfectly. Or Nausicaa. No clue. Yeah, but Samurai Champloo never really had an ending. And Cowboy Bebop didn't really have endings either. They just kind of continued on. But Brotherhood is a complete story. It beats it beats Star Wars and the Lord of the Rings for me. So, because I didn't think they were ever going to get to nail that landing. You know, like, well, there's no way this thing can end well. Like, it just usually falls apart. Yeah. Yeah, the movie's only the first half of the first book. There's a half of the first book plus 3 other novels to adapt. From Nausicaa and from Akira, that ain't even an adaptation. I mean, that's an adaptation of a concept from like, you know, 60 to 100 pages of the manga. Adapt the fucking manga. No one's taking away the movie. If it's animated, I just don't want them to do a live action one. Animate it. Let Trigger or Gynax or someone fucking do it. Madhouse, anybody. They keep making this. I mean, they made a live action Full Metal fucking movie. As bad an idea as that is, you know. Yeah, it's a whole thing, man. He actually shows up. I just don't care for live action adaptations of manga and anime. You know? Like, look at Haikyuu, right? Haikyuu's about volleyball. I don't want the live action version of that. What they do in animation with the dynamic hammock angles and, you know, the way they draw it, they do things, you know, that are completely not realistic. I don't like live action adaptations of anime. Don't want it. Same with Street Fighter. You know, those recent ones they made, they're fine, but I prefer the animation. Every year I read either Nausicaa or Akira, the manga. I like I alternate. This year it's Nausicaa. Matter of fact, I can prove it. Here's my copy. Boosh! Look at that shit. Boom. Look how old it is, too. It's from like 2000. It's the old one. I've had this forever. Look how old the binding is. Look, it's all messed up and shit. No, she doesn't overreact, Armando. Read the book. No, I think that's all I can really do for now. I gotta pull out colors to do his shoes, and then the backgrounds and stuff. Alright, so tomorrow I'll get the shoes done and his little lightning, whatever I'm calling it, the little effect. And it's still uncertain with some of the background stuff, like how I'm going to do certain things. So, like, thinking I might, with the background, I think I might only color where it's red. So I'm not killing my hands on this. But then what do I do for the checkers? Alright. Doesn't quite work. I might just have to keep it like simple, right? Simple coloring on. Some more concentrated. Now you can do a blue, green, whatever. But if I put blue off there, it's going to look like he has... Sorry, it's going to look like he has extra feathers coming off his... or hair coming off his feet, so... It's not going to work. Maybe not. That ain't it. Which one is it? I just have to keep it light, that's all. So that'll be fine. I just gotta keep the colors very, very pale, so I'm not overdoing it. Alright, that's my alarm going off. I gotta roll, everybody. Let me zoom out. Oh, there. And then, yeah. So we'll get the shoes and his burst done, and we'll start this platform right here tomorrow. The very edges, I'll kind of try to be a little careful. I gotta link them up when I color back and forth. So yeah, but we'll just keep this stuff light. You can kind of bloom the edges. So we can see where we're at. Whoa. I think it's coming loose. I gotta see if that is. I gotta see if that's coming loose. I think it's coming loose. I gotta retighten that down so it doesn't wobble so much. All right, everybody. Be back tomorrow. Peace. Like and comment if you like the videos. Rockets to buy coffee. None of that really rhymed. Hey everybody, this is where I sell stuff. It's called shopsketchcraft.com. Sometimes I put stuff up in there. Sometimes you buy it. But every time, it arrives on time. Mostly. Except for when it doesn't. Then I fix it. Then we fix it together. And then it arrives on time. And then you're happy. And then I'm happy. Shopsketchcraft.com. #SketchStrong.